We've got Sophie on the line. Hello, Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
Hiya.
Hi, what's your question?
Okay. I have an older brother who's kind of gone missing, but he's not chosen to, but he was in a bit of trouble where threats have been made, and therefore he's staying away from family and friends and everything to keep them out of stuff. But he's also living rough, and I was just wondering how I can get hold of him, because I know that he might be living in Scotland, but I don't have any way of getting in touch with him because I've tried his phone, but he's not answering.
It's tough. How do you find someone?
Well, I think the most important thing is you've got to try and contact some of his friends, some of the people that he's in contact with. So if you let me ask you some specific questions. You say his phone, he's not answering. Is it still live? Can you send him a text message?
I can still send him text messages, yes.
OK, I think the important thing is to offer him some reassurance, to say, look, whatever's happened, you know, there is way around it. And I say this to everybody, not just adults, but children as well. However big your problem is, talking to somebody about it, they can help you through it. So I said, send him a very reassuring text message. Try and perhaps talk to some of his friends. Are you in contact with any of his friends who could perhaps get a message?
From what I can gather, because he's been living rough on and off, I don't think he's got that many that he keeps in touch with.
OK. And do you know a rough area in Scotland where he's sleeping rough?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Do you know a rough area in Scotland where you think...
No, I don't. No. This is the problem I've got.
So the only contact really is through that telephone, and the one thing that you've got to do is to coax him out and maybe just get some sort of contact.
Absolutely, and I'd also say if you want the charity Missing People to send a text through to him, because sometimes if a message comes through from our organisation and say, look, get in touch with us in confidence, and we'll open up those lines of communication, and we know how hard it can be for people who are missing to make that first contact. And listening to you, you know, we can hear the emotion in your voice. It's such a difficult time for you, and it's really important that you get support as well. It sounds like you love your brother a huge amount, and if we can help in any small way, then we will, and people can contact us in confidence and anonymously if they like, just to start off with, and then we'll build that trust and hopefully get you back in contact.
What we'll do, Sophie, stay on the phone there, and we'll put you guys in touch, and you can hopefully get that message sent through from another party, which is really important, and we'll also explain on our website how you go about doing that if you think that might help you. Kerry says, my boyfriend's daughter's threatened to run away a couple of times and she's not happy living with her mum. We're worried as her mum will not allow her to live with us. It's becoming apparent that she's contemplating running away more and more. She's told my boyfriend how she's planning on doing it, and she is only, and this is the crux of the matter, 10 years old. It's terrifying to think about.
Terrifying.
I mean, this is something that many parents face. You know, their children will run away, they'll talk about running away. The important thing is to sit down with the child. Now, often that might not be the parent where they have the best relationship with. Try and find somebody else that child has a very good relationship with. Speak to them and say, look, could you have a chat with my child? Just sit down and talk about it. Because there is some anxiety, there is something in this child's life that's causing them to want to run away. Don't forget, they don't have the understanding of what running away means, the implications of running away, the complications, and we get that by adults because we understand what happens and what's nasty in life. They don't see that as a 10-year-old. So it's age appropriate. Sit down, talk to that child and have a chat with them. And there's lots of advice out there. Certainly the Missing Persons Helpline, you know, have been in this field for a very long time now. They can offer an awful lot of support and advice to parents who are in their difficult positions.
Yeah, and we would say get in touch with us as well, but also ensure that a child knows the sorts of risks they might face when they go missing.
So you can get in touch with you guys before somebody goes missing?
Yeah, absolutely, and we would always say, as Mark was saying, it might be the child doesn't want to speak to the parent for whatever reason. Make sure that the child knows where to reach out for help if they actually do go missing, because sadly we know lots of children and young people out there don't know where to turn to for help at that point and really worried about how to get back in touch and are they in trouble and what's going to happen to them. And we speak to young people kind of as it goes dark towards the end of the day, really worried. So yes, make sure that they've got details of how to reach out for help in that situation, and also means for support before they go missing, because obviously this situation is a real cry for help here. There's somebody that's distressed, needs some help, and as Mark says, it might be somebody beyond the family, but reach out for help.
This is an interesting one. Anna says, my daughter recently went missing for 7 weeks. She'd run away previously, but never for such a long time. I walked the streets liaising with police and missing people helpline. She was found safe and sound, and we're trying to get back on track. She was 16 and could legally go wherever she wanted to, but she was still a child in my eyes. She'd placed herself in grave danger and apparently had been exploited, but thankfully now we're getting the support we need. So I suppose it's about keeping the lines of communication open, isn't it?
Yeah, and often families would say to us that thankfully somebody comes home, a child comes home, but that's often not the end of the story. So trying to understand what it was that led them to be going missing in the first place. And sometimes it's not just about them maybe not wanting to be at home at that particular point in time, but someone actually grooming them and enticing them away is so important at that time to explore what's happened.
Such a tricky time, isn't it, from the child to sort of the adult, the young adult, for
It is,
most parents.
And children, of course, reach puberty far more earlier now. The challenges for a child in today's life are really difficult. You know, bringing children up in today's environment where